I just had a complete brain fart on how to word
You good?
that.
You alright?
Yeah.
You sure?
Let's not go results-based analysis. That's what I was trying to say.
Yes.
In a way less
Because
clear way.
I will say Domino's first game of the split was, for lack of a better word, unfortunate. Den was kind of being bullied, and there wasn't really too much you could do about that. And it just kind of meant that Domino, it felt like, couldn't really play out of any of their lanes, because if you can't play out of jungle support in this meta, and you can't play out of mid, sometimes it gets very, very hard to play the game, and it felt like that was definitely the case. So let's see how Domino go about trying to play this game, and especially, I mean, I'm tracking Nativz, like I said, very, very eagerly, just because, again, having spoken with the coach on the interview, having seen how they've drafted, having seen how they've played as well, they look like they're going to be maybe the most fun team to sort of watch over the course of the split.
Absolutely. Well, we are into Champ Select. We're seeing that Riven as a bit of a target ban. The Diana are also going out there. But other than that, pretty standard bans across the board. So it's over to Domino. Question is, what they're going to look to first pick here. I like the Fresh. It's very flexible. Can kind of be paired up with whatever AD carry you want, but obviously gives you that big safety tool as well for the rest of the team. In the Lantern, Nativz, over to them now. Just trying to kind of rack my brain on what has been left open. I know there's stuff been left open. My brain's not working. So I'm sure we'll see some of that in a second.
Does it ever, Jake? Does it ever work?
No.
So Nativz here, they do have the jungle picks if they want to go for them. Fresh being there is a little bit irritating, so maybe they leave it for now. Going for the Rakan though, a lot of scaling can come out of this pick. I think a lot more than people necessarily give it credit for. So potentially a lot of utility in general coming out of the bottom lane. So Jhin and the Rakan, of course, a lot of range engage will be present now for the Nativz bottom side. And it does leave Domino with the pick of choice for the jungle. Only really pinched in two places, Diana and Xin Zhao. So Lee Sin, oh no, things like Lee Sin, Jarvan, Viego up and available. Felios though seems to be the choice with the Thresh. So now hyperscaling in the bottom side into, of course, sort of the utility-based bottom side that Nativz have, and it will also be paired up with the Twisted Fate. So not willing to give that one over to Rylet. I think that definitely makes a lot of sense. Had a pretty strong game in the opening game of the split on that one. And now it kind of says to Nativz, okay, we can match and then have priority on the jungle. We can go jungle, not care about the mid lane pool. We could even go top if we really feel like it. Loads of options, but I imagine Nativz will likely go into this mid lane pick or into the jungle.
Yeah, looks like they're going towards potentially the mid lane. That's an interesting pick, and it's the Zoe for Rylo. Have we seen a Zoe recently? I feel like
not for a little while. I feel like last time I saw Zoe was definitely at Worlds. Of course, plenty of very strong Eastern Zoe players. So we saw it a lot during the World Championship. We haven't really seen it a lot in Season 12. Definitely a pick that we're kind of just going to have to see what gets pulled out of the bag, because to me, Twisted Fate has always had a relatively okay time in this matchup, at least inside of the lane, right? You do lose priority. As Twisted Fate, Zoe will have priority in her favor. But if you're talking about trying to maybe outrange the enemy composition, I think definitely you've got that going for you inside of the Nativz comp right now. Jhin with the curtain call. Zoe can always sort of play two walls away. It's going to be on Shaolin, really, to lock down either of these two members as they try and find engages or sort of poke from either side. I like the response from Domino to just remove away Lindorf's Jace, because they can already see the composition trying to come together. And on the Nativz side, removing away champions that they just probably don't want to deal with in Sidon's pool. So Viego makes a bunch of sense. They might just ban out the other jungler they don't want to play against. Actually, I really love the Poppy adaptation, just because they have the Rakan, and it's something that we've seen sort of sneaking into the meta here and there, because there's a lot of mobility champions in the meta right now. So it says to me, probably looking at maybe something like Jarvan. Maybe they're just going for the Lee Sin for all of the mobility between Lee, Rakan, and Karthus will be removed away now from the side of Domino. Don't want to have to deal with that one, but I feel like when you have the Zoe there, you probably weren't going for the Karthus anyway. So maybe a missed opportunity. I think the Poppy really gives away the fact that Nativz are probably looking at Lee or Jarvan either way, as a Joppa hovering. Well, the Ziggs I know he hovers a lot, but of course the Evelyn too. And there you go, Jarvan hovered. I imagine this is what gets locked in. The other option would have been Lee. And it kind of just says, okay, for Domino, they will probably snap up the Lee Sin themselves now and look for a solid pick in the top side for Ripped.
So we're going to look to pick up for their top. Well, they're going to have to go top and jungle here. So it doesn't really matter what order they go for it, unless they're just really trying to throw them off guard. Actually looking like maybe something a little bit spicy in the top. I would think you want a blind pick for Yora, though. So probably not going to be that. And the answer is going to be the Gragas here. It's technically flexible, so we'll make our mind up on exactly where that's going once they lock in their final pick. That's also technically flexible, so a bit of flexibility actually, which isn't bad. We'll see if they decide to actually go for the Sejuani, and they are. So I'm not entirely sure which one's going where right now.
Yeah, so Domino, I'm pretty sure it was Domino. I hope my memory isn't failing me. Actually pulled out the Sejuani last week, and like you said, Sej and Gragas both interchangeable with one another. So if they get a top lane matchup that they don't necessarily feel comfortable playing with, they can just kind of swap it out and have whichever position they want on either side. And I really love the Jarvan pick. You've got 2 immobile carries. You've got a global that you're playing against already. Cannon Barrage is going to be able to match that. You've got a lot of scaling. Most of Domino, right? Talking about Sej, talking about Gragas, will want to come into you and into either one of those lanes. Gangplank just has a pretty free time in terms of the scaling department.
Yeah.
So it just gives another avenue of scaling to Nativz, which they already had a whole bunch of. I really like the way that Nativz rounded out their draft. But for Domino, it's all about the CC again. Whether it's the Thresh, whether it's the Twisted Fate, whether it's either of those 2 tanks. It's about locking down the key targets and executing them inside of that CC.
Absolutely. I do worry for the side of Domino that, your damage as we move later is purely Chris. That Aphelios is the main source of damage. Like Twisted Fate's more utility. Obviously he does a bit of damage, but he's not like a Zoe. Like a Zoe will one-shot Chris. I don't think we're gonna see Shaolin one-shot Joppa unless Shaolin is incredibly fed. So realistically, you're going to be very reliant on Chris. Now, they have got good tools. You've got the Gragas barrel for the disengage. You've obviously got the Sejuani and the Gragas as your front line. You've got the Fresh for the peel. You've got all the utility that the Twisted Fate will be offering. So it's going to be hard for Nativz to jump onto Chris. But, one bubble, one Cannon Barrage, one Cataclysm. There are still tools. There are these abilities to poke and kill Chris out from range. And that's where my concern is going into this game. Because I think Nativz, if they lose Joppa, that doesn't mean they've lost all their damage. If they lose their mid, doesn't mean they lose all their damage. They've still got the GP. They've still got these these tools in their team, but will also offer utility to the team, but also will be capable of outputting damage. So that's kind of my main takeaway right now, is I'm just concerned about Domino's damage right now.
Great breakdown, Jake. Honestly, I quite like that from you. It's not often that we get. Yeah, been away a while. Still got the breakdown of the comps down. I'll mostly agree with you. In fact, no, I think I'd entirely agree with you. I think Domino's damage profile definitely pretty much entirely falls on Chris as we go towards the late game. Yes, Shaolin on the Twisted Fate can put out reasonable amounts of damage, but very rarely do we see Twisted Fates get to the point where, gold card, wild cards, couple of autos, and the target dies. It takes late game Death Cap, Lich Bane, and a pot really to ever make that happen. And we just don't really see TFs get to that point anymore. It's more about the utility. It's more about getting the engages started as opposed to outright bursting people out. So yeah, like you say, loads of damage sources coming out of Nativz. For Domino, it really feels like they want to try and get that bottom side going, because if they don't, get either Chris ahead or use the other members on the team as sort of a bridge to ensure that Chris eventually gets to that point, then you have to kind of feel Nativz eventually just run over a lot of what Domino has going for them, even though they don't necessarily have the front line to match what Domino put forward.
Let's talk about the support matchup then. The Rakan versus Thresh. I feel like you were talking about the scaling on the Rakan, but for me, I feel like in lane, at least, the Thresh should have an okay time, because you can kind of flame out of the grand entrance and stuff like that. What is your breakdown on it? Because, while I gave a very smart breakdown a moment ago, you're the smart one here.
Yeah, funnily enough, my perception of this matchup has changed over time. I feel like, yes, obviously, as the Thresh, you can flay clocks out of the dashes, both, the shield portion and the knockups. But honestly, sometimes the timing can be difficult, and often enough, it does feel like, on the Thresh point of view, you don't always get to flay the Rakan out of the knockup. And even when you do, sometimes, especially when you go past that sort of level 6 point, if he makes it on top of you, you're still charmed. The CC portion is still there. You don't get the full, CC duration, but if you get the charm, normally that can just be enough for the remainder of the setup on the rest of the team to come into play. And when we talk about the utility of the Rakan, or the utility scaling of the Rakan, it's more about something that I've kind of fallen a lot in terms of what I like to call mobility scaling, where there is a lot of mobility in the game, right? And I feel like inside of League of Legends right now, mobility is, I won't say necessarily often overlooked, but it's not looked at as a facet of scaling, where if you have a lot of mobility and you don't have a lot of hard CC on the opposite side to lock you down, that is an aspect of scaling where you kind of just get to play the game for free. And it's something that we might get to see in action here occasionally, but I think when you've got things like Twisted Fate, Gragas, Sejuani, it's very easy to shut down picks like the Rakan, of course. So more looking at Domino to, obviously make sure Clocks doesn't find too many great engages. Because, the likes of a Jarvan and Rakan together can really mess up your backline. So Denden's position is going to have to be on point, and Sidon as well are going to have to be primed and ready to make sure the counter engages are always there to lock up the likes of Joppa and Riley.
Well, as you were saying, GP pretty much has a fun lane against either one of the flexible top laners they had locked in with the Sejuani and the Gragas. So building a CS lead for himself, and level lead comes in. Denton not going to be able to hit that hook as the dash away comes out from Clocks. And looks like Riley actually getting shoved in a little bit here to start us off versus the Twisted Fate.
Yep, Shaolin definitely getting a pretty decent lane state for himself. Like I said, typically it is Zoe that will get push in this lane, but maybe level 1 positioning and such just meant that now Shaolin, for the moment, has lane priority and will make use of that time, potentially try and get some vision down, some information in a place. But for now, just going to hover in lane. Nothing to really gain. But I will be looking at Shaolin, especially after seeing the previous Twisted Fate performance in Game 1. Try and pull off some very successful Destiny Gates, because we saw a lot of very strong Destiny Gates in Week 1, where it was just Destiny Gate into kills and Destiny Gate into kills. I want to see a lot more of that execution being met. Rally and Joppa, however, on the opposite side do have Cleanse, so that is something that Domino are going to have to work through and time very cautiously, just because Cleanse can really mess with a lot of the engaged tools the Domino found themselves with.
Lundorf actually out of mana right now, so can't really keep that harass up anymore, but, well, a little bit. I don't think it's quite on Sheen Gold yet either, so Rip's actually going to be quite happy to now step up now that the mana's burnt on the GP. Obviously, that Doran's shield is able to absorb some of that early pressure. As Shaolin actually just zoning Riley off a little bit of those, a few of those minions with that gold card. Though Riley does have the smite, so he can just secure a minion from a distance if needs be.
Ah, that's why, actually. Shaolin probably had lane pressure. Maybe Minion Dematerializer was in play in the first wave. I'm pretty sure it comes online by the first cannon wave. I could be wrong. I just don't see the rune too often anymore.
I mean, they both have Minion Dematerializer as well.
Yes, so that could have been why Shaolin found his way. No, because he didn't even use it on the first cannon. He just had a lane prior. End of the discussion. So, but yeah, Minion Dematerializer is a very interesting rune. We don't get to see it too frequently, but definitely a very powerful one. There's so many strong runes inside the Inspiration Tree. In general, they need to look at that, as Lundorf going to eat a pretty nasty trade, but he's probably going to base soon for Sheen, like you called out. As of course, that is the first sort of major power spike for Gangplank inside the laning phase. Really makes the enemy opponent eat up a load of extra damage, as Drop on Clocks really respecting. Maybe going back for a recall, it seems, instead. So nothing too crazy out of the opening moments of the game is what we expected, but I'm very happy to see Lundorf on the carry again. We did see Lundorf in game 2, I believe it was on the Ornn, after seeing a very, very explosive Gwen game. And I think, especially after yesterday, I don't know if you caught Div 1 yesterday, but we saw quite a few GPs, and in particular, I will give a brief shout out to Patoshka, because his Gangplank was... Tweet. Yeah, Patoshka's Gangplank. Now some Giga Chad action coming out from the Nuriki top laner, so maybe Lundorf can channel some of that energy in this game. When you're playing Gangplank and you've got all of these bruisers as well, where, there is, some burst damage, right? But there's not really enough that should ever really put you in lethal unless you're really griefing. Makes me wonder, what build will Lundorf go for? Because...
Crit build, come on, let's go fun build.
So firstly, for anyone not familiar with me and Jake, we're both Gangplank players, so whenever there's a Gangplank in the game, I'm sorry you're getting these conversations. Theorizing on the amization will always come out. That's why I wouldn't mind. I honestly wouldn't mind seeing a closer to Bruiser build come out of Lundorf in this game.
Yeah,
however, I think because you've got something like Jhin in the bottom side, and you've also got all of the burst out of the Zoe, maybe going like the Essence Tree, the full crit build, that wouldn't be too bad. As that's
Clocks, that's a lot of damage. Destiny's going to come in, and Clock's able to battle dance away to Joppa, as now Chris might be a little bit under fire, but he's going to be A-okay.
Yeah, but I mean, you know what? Nativz are probably happy with that. They get the Destiny Gate out and it doesn't really yield any results. Yes, Clock blows his flash, but that's not the kind of value you want out of Twisted Fate Ultimate, especially not the first cast overall. And locked up by Gravita, maybe Joppa. Not going to happen just yet. And thank you, Reed, for the vision toggle. You can see Nativz are really playing with fire right now. They have absolutely zero information. Other than the fact that they did, of course, just see Sidon down there, but could have been playing the waiting game for sure. As now Snidley's gonna sneak his way in to the brush. Don't think he can quite make it into the alcove with the rest of the team, but Joppa's gonna show himself, and that could give away something. Is up, and there you go.
The problem with playing into a fresh, that lantern is such a powerful tool. This makes it so hard to try and punish. Lundorf just playing on top of the barrel. Doesn't actually have full vision of what's going on. Does have a couple of pink wards on the river, but can probably make a assumption of where Sidon is right now.
Yeah, having showed bot likely means on the top side, the Sejuani, so doesn't have to play too aggressively. And his team is also picking up this Cloud Dragon, so should be pretty much okay. Just going to get the wave shoved in, and that he called out, has the pink quartz, has enough information to kind of be where he is right now. This will be Cloud Dragon going over to Nativz, and it will be the Ocean, which spawns next. So Infernal, Mountain, or Hextech will be our soul of choice. Makes me very excited. I think all of those pretty strong souls for a game like this. I think all of them offer quite a bit, actually, when you think about it. Mountain, a lot of tanks on Domino's side. They would definitely enjoy it. Infernal is Infernal, right? And Hextech, I wouldn't say easy to proc for Nativz, but definitely very easy to proc for a lot of the Domino champions. Just because of the way their combos come out in quite quick succession. But especially adding a static Shiv that slows to a Felios with red and white gun. That sounds pretty scary to me. So we'll see whether or not Nativz can keep Dragon Control, as Herald has also spawned. There's no pings on it for now. Oh, I'll take that back. There's a ping now coming out from Nativz, so looks like maybe that is going to be the next point of focus for the red side team. As Domino Sidon just path top to bot, so is actually on the bottom side. I don't know if Nativz necessarily have that information at hand, but that means that this Herald is probably going to go down entirely uncontested, and that'll be 2 objectives back-to-back for Nativz.
Yeah, Lundorf was just able to crash that wave as well. Ripped was had that lane frozen for quite some times. Constantly hitting these barrels. Ripped is not doing a great job of contesting those. Which makes trading with GP quite hard when that happens.
Yeah, especially when you have very seasoned Gangplank players that kind of just know the timings at every single distance, because obviously it changes depending on how close you are to the barrel very, very slightly. Lundorf been doing a great job at winning out on those trades quite consistently, as that's a stolen away cleanse.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was like, wow.
Right there, it's like, wow, you really didn't want to be stunned by that gold card, huh? But yeah, Lundorf, full lane priority there in the top side. So it's going to be pretty difficult for Domino to play through that top side now, I imagine. And I think Domino, they have to try and find something, definitely with that Destiny Gate in the next couple of minutes. Otherwise, I do feel Nativz will start to just slowly take over the game like they did in week 1, where sometimes their opponents were a little more sort of passive.
Well, looks like Sidon might be looking for a little something down here in the bottom lane. Joppa has to be careful. They're itching for it. The flash comes forward. They've got the Glacial Augment slow. Great Drowsy, those clocks goes in for the knockoff. Joppa's going to slow them down now. He's got that cleanse in the flash. First blood has been secured, but Joppa will be able to cleanse this. He will be able to avoid everything, although Chris does do a whole lot of damage to him with the Moonlight Vigil. And first blood secured for the side of Domino.
Yeah, there we go. He just said it. We really need to see Domino make some proactive plays. Don't want to let Nativz get very comfortable, fall into their own rhythm. Playing the game, having taken 2 objectives back-to-back, break up the tempo a little bit. And that's exactly what they do here. They find that first blood. It is only onto clocks, but at the end of the day, first blood is first blood. Destiny Gate yields a fair amount of results. And I think, crucially, the cleanse is gone from Joppa, right? So now they can actually send multiple members down, even if the flash... Oh, bubble goes a bit wide. Even if the flash is still there, you can play around that. Shaolin has his flash of his own, can follow the flash and make sure that gold card always connects. And the following CC is always going to be lethal. Even if Clocks is there on top to peel. So that's what we need to see. Next, sort of, I think, 80 seconds, maybe a little bit less left on that Destiny Gate cooldown. See that return gank towards the bottom side. Make sure Nativz don't get a free Herald drop. Make sure they don't get a free Dragon. Just try and shut down this bottom side for now. Looks like you're very strong avenue. And again, it's Aphelios that's the carry in the bottom side, so you want to put resources into him anyway.
Well, Sidon trying to defend this tower, but not going to be able to do so as Riley just making sure that they do get this wave. I don't actually... Oh, they're in range. Okay, they do get the plates. Bunch of damage onto this mid lane tower. And Twisted Fate losing his tower big early is big. As kill goes down in the bottom lane. And Chris, I think you might be in trouble, friend, because there are a whole lot of people looking to hunt you down, although Joppa can take a lot of damage. They do clip him with the Deadly Flourish, but I think Chris actually just did enough damage to force off a potential dive.
Yeah, I think two things stopping that dive there. Snilly looks like actually blew the ultimate on Den, so doesn't have the Cataclysm available, and crucially, Clocks is also level 5 still. I think if they had the ultimate available from Clocks, they probably would have gone for that dive. There's no cleanse, yes, the flash is there, but realistically, Rakan's always going to be able to follow Chris as long as Snilly goes in first to blow the flash, so good pressure. Herald, of course, was dropped in the mid lane earlier. Just trying to transfer some pressure down towards the bottom side. We have a replay of what went down in this tri-brush. Den, I'm not sure. Not too much business waiting here, to be honest with you. And just no flash. Very easy target to get locked up. All the ultimates blown. No biggie. Free pick. And it will mean, however, that a lot of those ultimates won't be available. All of those ultimates won't be available, actually, for this dragon. So Domino, I think, recognizing the ultimate economy is certainly in their favor. Come down here, push this one out. Snide is actually here on the bottom side. They maybe want to pick on Chris on a return to lane. And it doesn't look like Domino have any idea that this setup is being made. And this time Clocks crucially has that level 6, so that snapping age is going to be all the more deadly. They're going to check it, Jake. They're going to check it.
Oh, it's scary. Here they come. They're going to knock him up. They're going to bop him up, and down he goes. Joppa finds the kill. Clocks is able to battle dance to safety as well. And they're going to be able to get at least one of these plates before the tower plates fall off. I don't think they're going to be able to sit around, although Sidon trying to zone them away. Gets himself the ultimate off, but in comes the backup. Trying to get onto Joppa. Joppa should be going down, and Clocks is actually almost there. The Destiny Gate was huge. And just like that, a double kill for the Twisted Fate. And Clocks is only just able to limp away.
Yeah, a little bit greedy from Nativz, and maybe a little bit of miscommunication as well. I mean, at the end of the day, you always know Twisted Fate is going to have the Destiny Gate available to come and punish that. I mean, it's 160 gold. You can always base. Go back.
Oh, my word.
Find the tempo as yet. Triforce was the mythic of choice here for Lundorf. As a
Ooh. That could have been so much worse.
Yes, it certainly could have been. And also Grasp was the rune choice as well for Lundorf, which, you know, I don't know. I'm a first strike. I'm a first strike enjoyer. So
I know you're a first strike. I'm still a Grasp fan.
Right. Any particular? You just like stacking HP? Is that
well, I play mid, remember? So the amount of opportunities to actually proc first strike is a bit harder there. Because you're normally hit on the way in for like a key trade. So I prefer the Grasp.
Yeah, okay, I understand that.
But I think top lane, especially in a matchup like this, first strike is still pretty high value. I don't think there's a wrong choice, by the way.
No, there's absolutely not a wrong choice. It just depends on what you want to do.
It's what I really love about GP is he's such a flexible champion. You can go lethality, you can go crit, you can go bruiser. I mean, technically go AP. You wouldn't do it in competitive, but you can do. Rune-wise, he can be fairly flexible. I mean, it's realistically just Grasp or first strike, but I guess he could get away with other runes and it wouldn't be too bad. So what makes him such a fun champion? There's always something a bit fresh and a bit new about him. You kind of know when you get a Jhin, they're going to go Gale Force and Fleet Footwork. Like, you're not going to see a Conqueror Jhin.
Hey, you never know.
I do know. I absolutely know. Lundorf is going to get a whole bunch of free time. You get the Trial by Fire passive off onto the towers as well. Able to chunk that heavily.
Yeah. One more wave will probably be enough as long as Lundorf is there. That tower is pretty much standing gold. But yeah, I agree with you, Bus. We have nothing really going on. I'll talk more about Gangplank, to be honest with you. He's on our screen. And I think Lundorf, yeah, he really wants the tower, but I think ripped enough of a HP bar. And on top of that, maybe doesn't have enough information on everybody else to wholeheartedly push and try and take down that tower. But yeah, I mean, I think even theorizing, right? You almost know you're always going to be up in an island in the top side. Yeah. Actually, I would like to know how many Grasp blocks has has Brother Lundorf gone? If you could just.
He's probably done quite a lot.
You might have to hover it on the. He got 16. So I mean, it's 16 by 3. So he's not really gotten that much HP.
No, not got a lot of HP. Yeah, maybe it's not the most.
I really feel like First Strike's just kind of better here. No, I'm not trying to knock it or anything. But of course, because it's reduced by 40%, that's 2 HP. The healing isn't as great. Obviously, the damage also.
Well, some of them were melee grass procs. But
yeah, you have to take that.
They're mostly going to be Q ones.
Yeah, I just feel like First Strike probably prints you a lot more money, right? By 17 minutes into the game into a Gragas lane, you probably printed like 400 almost. Something around
probably.
that. Maybe have him on the interview. Maybe we'll ask him. See how he feels.
Yeah. I actually would like that interview. That'd be a good one. Get their thought on things. There's Protobelt is the W pickup here for Riley, and yeah, just gonna use it instantly to find himself a kill. Oh, Sidon. Not much you can do there. The counter barrage comes down. He'll look for the barrel chain, can't quite connect it. Lundorf goes for the trial by fire, the extra Q's in, and that is going to be enough. Lundorf finds the kill. They get a hook in response. Chris dodges out in that bubble momentarily. But just like that, Nativz able to find themselves 2 kills.
Yeah, great fight force from Nativz there. They get the mid and jungle out of the mid lane from Domino, and now that should be a free dragon. They might, well, they lost a couple of waves up on the top side, but honestly, for the play that they got, totally worth it. And now we should see the Infernal pick up pretty much for free. Domino can't really do much about it anymore, as, alright, they might try and find something onto Ryle.
Yeah, I think he might have found something back onto you in response.
Yeah.
Fox finds the kill. Chris does do a fair amount of damage to Riley, but the backup was there, and the Drek's going to get secured. Sidon's going to try and come over, not going to be able to find it, however. Has got that Winter's Wrath on. Lands the ultimate onto Clocks. The bubble comes down as well from the Zoe, and Clocks is able to jump away. They got the blast going to get over the wall. They got a tower to hide under as well. And Domino, it just fell apart for them. They weren't able to find anything in response, while Lundorf on the top side of the map able to take that tower. Got double crit cloaks as well. So might see some crit items starting to come in now.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier on in the game. Things like mobility, scaling, just from the Rakan. It's like, okay, if that's any other support, like meta support, in most cases, they just get locked down. They just die, walk away slowly. They can't make it to the wall in many cases. But Clocks gets to do it without even having to blow his flash in this instance. So Domino not able to pick up too much off the back of that. In fact, gets turned around again onto Den on the very back end. And Nativz sitting pretty comfortably here, just over a 2,000 gold lead, 2,500. To be honest with you, and they've been finding their picks and plays kind of at their own will. Domino definitely in the early stages found a lot of success, but right now we need to see some more clinical Destiny Gates come out from them onto these side laners, or maybe onto Lundorf. I mean, it's so difficult. You've got Cleanse on both Joppa and Riley, and then you have Lundorf who's got the Citrus Roots. So it's actually pretty difficult to lock down anybody with some of the CC here coming out from Domino, which just makes things even more oppressive. They have to really layer their CC. They have to have loads of multiple members committed to one side at a time.
Oh, nice little dodge on the knockup, but there's still way too much CC.
There you go.
Goodbye, Shaolin.
Shaolin dropped on the side lane. It's kind of what we need to see Domino doing, trying to find picks on the side lane, but if it's Nativz that are doing it first, chucking numbers first, it's always going to work out in their favor. Numbers always going to be matched as well by Cannon Barrage in one way or another. The fight's going to feel a little bit lopsided. As a curtain call used. Just to clear the wave, it seems like maybe Domino are putting a lot more pressure on that tier 1 than we got to actually get a look at. That should just be a recall. And Baron's up on the map now, but I feel like both these teams, it's going to be a while until we see a Baron start up, unless somebody monumentally missteps. Okay, we're just... I'm not sure where Jake is. I'm not sure if he's dying. I assume he's probably still here. But
oh, I'm an idiot. Yeah. I'm muted.
You muted, weren't you? Okay.
Yeah. I'm coughing a lot, all right?
I know. It's okay. For anyone that doesn't know, Jake is unfortunately still unwell. But he's here with us.
I'm healthy. I'm healthy. I just haven't recovered from an illness.
Yeah.
I say an illness. COVID.
Yeah.
Don't know what Don't know why I'm dancing around it.
Why are you beating around the bush, Jake?
No, I was saying, it's interesting to see the build path from Lundorf actually, because it looks like with that BF sword, we might have an Infinity Edge coming in.
Yes. Okay.
You don't actually get the passive until you get 60% crit.
So the idea here is picking up a third agility cloak after you get the IE. So you pick up 3 agility. Yeah. So
that's big brain.
So Whippo did this during the lock-in, I want to say finals. And there were a couple of people that were definitely confused about it. But honestly, I feel like the maths works out.
Yeah.
Because the IE, obviously, yes, it's an expensive item. It's 3.4k. But you get all of the crit damage out of the passive, which is obviously the important part. And you only invest 1.8k in an agility cloaks, which is less than another full item to only have less than the crit threshold.
That's actually really, I like that.
Yeah, and what's obviously the best part about it is all of those crit cloaks go into the next items. The only thing that feels bad is you have to have the full amount of gold to complete, like, each individual item from there on out.
Yeah.
It's like, it's the only drawback to that build. But of course, the immense power spike that you will hit once you do pick up that third agility cloak with the IE stat there is absolutely bonkers. We know how much crit barrels can do, especially with that IE there. Start to see numbers pretty close to 1k. What'd you say? And the buff they did, yeah.
They did do a buff. Was it preseason or just the beginning of the season? I can't remember when they did it, but they did buff.
It was one or the other.
They buffed the barrel crits, didn't they? Yeah, it's very, very strong, actually. I didn't really think about that because, yeah, like you said, you're going to get the value out of those crit cloaks. It's not like they're just sitting in your inventory and you'll sell them later. They're going to always be a component. It's just kind of the upfront cost. But then you're a GP, so you get, from the parlay, a bunch of bonus gold, like 6. Is it 6 or 7 gold per minion now?
7 once you have.
7. Yeah, 7 when max, and you always max it. Yeah. So, once you're popping entire waves of the barrels, that's a lot of extra. That's basically
you're getting half a wave. If you're killing all of the wave with the parley like execute, then yeah, you're effectively getting an entire half a wave per wave.
Yeah.
So yeah, it kind of stacks up. Every second wave, you're effectively eating 3 waves.
Yeah, so it's really big stuff there. Talking other than the gangplank, because I know we're fanboying a little bit too.
I'm sure people have gotten a bit tired of it now.
If you tune in to NLC LOL and you see me and Jamada casting,
Pray
there's
there isn't
going to
a
be a
gangplank.
discussion.
Pray there is not a gangplank.
Yeah, you knew what you were signing up for. You knew you were running the risk of hearing about gangplank for 40 minutes. We've got the Horizons Focus onto the Zoe. Very standard build for the Zoe, but it's a big spike to her damage. And this is an ambitious Baron. Yeah, like you said, is ripped. Actually looking to try and find a pick onto the jungler there. Whoa, that was a lot of damage.
There you go. That's the spike, though. He's got 3 agility cloaks. You've got the IE. 900 damage coming out onto Shaolin, who also has an arm guard, by the way. Has at least a little bit of armor. I'm not quite sure how much it did to Sidon, but I think it was somewhere in the range of 400, 500. And when you're thinking about, that's a target with Tabby's, Sunfire, and then also the Frost armor from Sejuani's passive. You imagine what it does to a target like Chris with no armor at all. Lundorf is online and a massive, massive threat now. If anyone ever oversteps...
I actually think he just one-shots Chris with a barrel. Like, I genuinely think Collect would be enough.
I think if he had first strike, he would.
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing about first strike. It's not about the gold also in the early game, but it's about the bonus damage, the bonus true damage it does towards the late game. Because your damage spikes so heavily, the damage on first strike spikes quite heavily with it as well.
Plus your ult's guaranteed to get you gold, even if you don't get kills.
Yeah, yeah.
And it does lots of extra damage.
Basically, what I'm saying is I like money in League of Legends.
In real life as well.
And real life, yeah, too. Money's been nice.
Money's been nice.
Yes, money's been nice. But Lundorf definitely not short on it with his 3 agility cloaks and 2 very expensive core items. Might actually have the most gold in the game as this Baron will get spotted out.
It's so rough doing Baron as the GP.
But I also think Domino are just being a little bit over eager here. Shaolin is very much gone.
Oh, the curtain has been called and they're in the Cataclysm as well. Den will get popped by that 4 shot. Oh my lord, Lundorf with the crit. Doing so much damage. Good God, there's only 2 of them left.
I might have to try this build after the...
yeah, I'm figuring out what I'm doing now after this.
Yeah, I know what we're doing after this. But yeah, Sidon's still alive. Can still steal away the Baron. Nativz, though, really great picks, really great uses of the range and the ultimates and the engages they have available to them. Find Shaolin. Now they're even going to force Ripped away, as well as Sidon. They might even find kills. Be a little bit careful, but it's Joppa, it's Relay. They're both relatively untouched. Bubble, flashed away from.
But yeah, there's a Zoe. She can steal the flash. They're teleporting people in, but she's got her own flash to work with. A lot used. And Baron picked up. Nativz, a fantastic little fight into Baron.
Yeah, that was very, very smart from Nativz. It looks like Shaolin just overstepped in the mid lane, or maybe I think Nativz had enough information on where the rest of Domino was to confidently move up on Shaolin, even though he had flash by the timer of the play anyway. Just didn't quite respect the fact that he could get engaged on. Pick starts there, and then it just bleeds out into the rest of the jungle. Domino just not able to retreat against the onslaught of the remainder of the engage itself. And, you know, and I'm sure we'll get a replay of the pick. There you go. This is why I love Reed. If Lundorf had first strike when his barrel hit Chris, which he probably wouldn't have had anyway because he's killing Shaolin right now. But let's just say, you know, he didn't have first strike before this, and then it comes up now, right? And by the way, we've broken down the fire. We know it's really from Nativz. But barrel, he dies the first strike, 100%. Just saying. I just
love that this is just Jamada being salty over first strike the game. As Nativz are able to take themselves a tower. A lot of damage coming out from Chris, but he has to be a little bit careful, and they're going to throw down the ultimate from the Sejuani, but the fight is broken up by this Curtain Call doing oh so much work. Inside the pit they go, and down Ripped will fall. Nativz secure a kill onto the top laner. They've got the cannon wave. Though it is a Baron wave, so they actually can't get too close as the bubble goes down.
Oh, there's no wave clear.
Even though it's the one cannon, now the next wave has showed up as well. Damage. Chris has the best gun for this scenario, but he can't step up without losing a chunk of his health. These barrels, the paddle stars, everything just ramps up a little bit too hard. And now there's two cannons just chipping away at that tower. And this tower will fall now. They're going to open up the inhibitors. Meanwhile, Lundorf in the top side going to be able to take the tier 2. And he'll be able to start up onto this inhibitor tower on the top side. I'm not sure what Dominos can do because their structures are falling like dominoes right now.
Yeah.
Is Den dead? Oh!
Well.
Woo! That's a lot of damage. There's the cannon barrage. Lundorf's able to get the kill. Barrel chain is not going to quite do enough to pop on to Chris, but they're able to take themselves the kill. And this will be a second inhibitor to follow any moment now. Or they may just go for the dive. Sidon's going to fall down. Ryan's going to jump out. The Deadly Flourish goes a little bit wide, and Chris is popped. You don't need first strike. You just need the Infinity Edge. Oh, the barrel will turn around and get a quick kill in response. But this is all Nativz. It's their game to win.
Yeah, Nativz start to finish, really. There was a couple of moments, yes, where Domino capitalized on some pretty greedy oversteps from Nativz. But at the end of the day, you can just tell Nativz very comfortable, very much in their house with this draft. And Domino, it felt like, you know, they had all the CC tools, right? But, I mean, looking across the board, you've got cleanse on both mid and bot. You've got the oranges. All the CC, starting the CC chain is just so difficult. Yeah. And it just felt like they were never really able to get, you know, a side lane for pressure to actually leverage anything. And like we said, Chris was kind of their only outlet for damage on the Aphelios, and they couldn't really push him to get far ahead or really ahead at all, it felt like, to be honest with you. And it just felt like Domino fell to the wayside with all of the utility and the ranged engage that Nativz
I do also think that harks back to that lack of damage, though. Like,
yeah.
It was really only Chris, and they just recognized that and just pummeled Chris at the start of every fight. And he was either way too chunked to get in the fight, way too scared to get in the fight, or just dead. So it was like the options they had were like, okay, let's see if this Twisted Fate can carry. And realistically, not going to do enough. Anyway, we are going to throw to a break. And when we're back, we'll actually have one of the members of our winning team, Nativz, standing by for an interview. So don't go anywhere. See you in a moment.